Hello students, we know that brain is made up of many types of cells, one neurons and other glial cells. Also, we have seen the structure and functions of the neurons. We ask you whether brain is made up of one kind of neuron or different. Well, it is made up of different kinds of neurons. So, let us see various types of neurons. There are various types of neurons based on their structure and function. Thus, they can be classified based on their structure into mainly three types.
Neurons can either have only one axon or dendron, or it can have both, or sometimes only one axon but many dendrons. Based on this structure, the neurons are of three types. First one is unipolar neurons. This type of neuron has either axon or dendron. Whichever part exists carries out the functionality of both the parts.
But do you know this common functioning happens only in the early stages? With the development at adult stage, neurons differentiate and have both axon and dendron functioning individually.
Second one is bipolar neurons. This type of neuron has both axon as well as dendron. Bipolar neurons found in retina of eye and olfactory epithelium, that is the lining in the nasal chambers. Third one is multipolar neurons. This type of neurons has multiple dendrons and single axon. Multipolar neurons are found in cerebral cortex of brain.
Now, let us see how we can classify them based on their function.
We know, students, that neurons transfers electrical impulses or signals. On the basis of its function, that is, where they carry signals, neurons are categorized as sensory or afferent neurons, motor or efferent neurons, and interneurons. Let's see them one by one. First one is sensory or afferent neurons. They carry electrical impulses from the sense organs to the brain or spinal cord. Suppose you incidentally touch a hot plate. This information from your skin is taken to brain by these sensory neurons. As they take signals from sense organs, they are called sensory neurons. Most of the sensory neurons are unipolar in structure, and that too only dendrons which always receive signals. Next one is motor or efferent neurons. They carry impulses from the brain or the spinal cord to effector organs such as the muscles or the glands. When you pull your hand back after touching the hot plate, this message is brought from the brain to the muscles by motor neurons. Most of the motor neurons are multipolar, as these motor neurons perform both the functionality of receiving and transmitting the signals. That is, they use dendron to receive the signals from the brain and use axon to give signals to the muscles. Our next one is interneurons. They are present in between sensory and motor neurons. Sometimes they are also called as mixed neurons or relay neurons, as they conduct signals between sensory and motor neurons. Most of the interneurons are also bipolar.
Now, let's talk about the cells other than neurons. We told you in the previous video that brain is an organ and is made up of tissues. And tissues are made up of different type of cells performing same function. In brain, apart from neurons or nerve cells, there are other cells called as glial cells. All the glial cells together are called neuroglia. The term glia in Greek means glue, which means that these cells held the nervous system together in some way. However, this is not true as per modern science. This is just very old notion about neuroglia. There are three types of glial cells in the mature central nervous system: astrocytes, oligodendrocytes, and microglial cells. Astrocytes are star-shaped cells and maintain an appropriate chemical environment for neuronal signaling. Oligodendrocytes. They are present only in the central nervous system. They help in formation of lipid-rich myelin around some axons. This same function is done by Schwann cells in the peripheral nervous system. And lastly, as the name implies, microglial cells are the smaller cells derived from stem cells of bone marrow. They are immune cells present in brain and protect it.
Glial cells do not carry electrical signals unlike neurons, which means that they are non-exciting. So then what do they do in the brain? Actually, they are the supporting cells of the neurons. They provide nourishment and protection to the neurons. For example, Schwann cells, a type of glial cell, form myelin sheath around axon of the neuron. So students, what we have learned? What is neuron? We learnt about their structure and functions. A neuron is single cell having three parts: a cyton or cell body, from which dendron and axon come out as projection. A dendrite is where a neuron receives input from other neurons, while the axon transmits electrical signals to other neuron when a neuron wants to talk to another neuron. In the next video, we will see how electrical signals are transmitted from one neuron to another. That is, how do neurons talk to each other.